call this meeting to order, and please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on the agenda is proclamations. Will somebody from the Grant County Trail Groups join me at the podium?
I hope I'm bright enough. That's all I gotta say.
Perfect. Hi, how are you? Good. Okay. Whereas interest in outdoor recreational opportunities include walking, bicycling, hiking, and horseback riding is appealing to more and more Silver City residents and visitors. And whereas trails and open space enhance the quality of life for our citizens, increase tourist activity in the area, and provide alternative transportation routes for non-motorized vehicles. And whereas trail activities are enjoyed by people of all ages and abilities and are an important part of Silver City's outdoor recreational resources. And whereas engaging in regular outdoor exercises known to improve health and well-being, and whereas our trails are beautiful and valuable, they represent an integral part of daily life for education, fun, and fitness. And whereas Trails Month is a chance to increase public awareness of the town of Silver City's trail opportunities and diverse outdoor recreational activities, and promote the importance of a local and national network of trails and greenways. And whereas citizens are encouraged to participate in the scheduled Grant County Trails Month activities to strengthen their commitment to preserving the natural, scenic, and recreational qualities of our trails and open spaces, therefore, therefore, I, Michael S. Moronis, Mayor of the Town of Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico, recognize and do hereby proclaim April 1st through April 30th, 2014 as Grant County Trails Month, and urge all citizens to make walking, hiking, or bike riding on local trails a priority activity for themselves and their families.
I would like to say we have some students here from the school right next door, and we do have our committee. Come on, Deb. Come on, David, Shelby.
Where's Adrian?
Antonio, come up and stand here. And I do want to thank the council. Thank you.
One, two, three. I'll get one more. One, two, three.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to public input. We have one person signed up, Ted Pressler. Remind you that you have 5 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a little nod if...
My hearing audience has already told me that.
Perfect.
Anyway, I want to address the chamber, Mr. Mayor, the councilors. This is not a self-serving presentation. I'm a walker. I live on 10th and I walk downtown. But I'm concerned about parking in Silver City. And if you look at what Silver City Tourism, what the Green Chamber of Commerce has done, what we're trying to do in our town, bring people in. We were out at the airport today, and believe it or not, Great Lakes has an article in there. Silver City meets New Mexico, Wild West meets New West. We're on the move. But let me take you on a trip. Let's say you live in L.A. or Tucson or El Paso and Las Cruces, and you've never been to Silver, but you've read these articles, and you say, I want to go to see Silver. You go to see Silver and go to a historic theater, Silco, and there are 100 seats in there, and everyone is going to be filled. What do we do with these people who come here and can't find a parking place? I'm proposing that Silver City needs a parking directory so that people coming in from out of town can, let's say, go to the visitor center, sit and understand where there is to park safely with lighting, and also to make sure that our blue and yellow markers are visible so that Chief Reynolds doesn't have to give out parking tickets and also upset some folks. Sorry, Chief. I have another thing is, what are we going to do when the bridge goes down? How are we going to get these people who are coming here for the first time to find a place to park or find their way to downtown? I think we need to have a committee to look at this. I know we have planning under Peter Mitchell and so forth, but I think we should look at it. Here's another interesting twist. Father Paul Moore, who's the rector at the Church of Good Shepherd, said to me, you know, why don't we take an inventory on parking places in Silver? I, as the pastor of Good Shepherd, would be more than happy to rent out for a meager amount, parking in my parking lot when it's not being used. We could also have signs that this is an authorized Silver City parking. That's my message. Thank you. Less than 5 minutes.
Thank you. I had a couple to say. Next item is council comments. Councilor Bedison.
Thank you, Mayor. No comment.
Councilor Raymond Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the staff who've taken their time from the town to train me. It's a steep learning curve, and I appreciate Mr. Brown and Mr. Scavron and the other folks who are going to be meeting with me to tell me how they fit into town governance and how I can be helpful to them and they can be helpful to me. Thank you.
Councilor Ray.
No comment, Mayor.
Councilor Tano.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to invite the public to come to the Silver City Museum anytime between now and mid-July. They have partnered with the Grant County Chicano Music Project to present the exhibit Parece que fue ayer, which showcases several local musicians from post-World War II to the present. It's a really rare opportunity for us to have an exhibit that features locals as opposed to bringing in an exhibit from another place. So they will be open their regular hours from now through July, so please take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bedison, round two.
I unfortunately forgot something. Thank you, Mayor. I just want to congratulate the Silver City Library on receiving monies from the Community Investment Fund from the Freeport McMoran Foundation. So I was with them on one of the folks that was in the room when they were awarded their monies on Monday. So very, very happy to see that and what they're doing. So just wanted to say that. Thanks. And to all the awardees. It's really those funds are being well used for a number of nonprofits to move our town forward in our county. So thank you.
Would anybody else like round two? All right. Moving on to any changes to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Approval of the minutes? Councilor Bedison.
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Town Council of March 11th, 2014.
Mr. Mayor, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the Council of the Town of Silver City regular council meeting for March 11th, 2014. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda is reports. First off is a presentation by the Members Film LLC regarding film liaison endorsement.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Glenn Tallhurst. This is my business partner, Michael Baragry. He's really the mastermind behind this. We have a company called Members Film LLC, and we are trying to partner up at this point in time with the New Mexico Film Office. And what we do as Members Film is we are location scouts and location agents, where we carry an inventory of contracted clients that we represent to the film industry directly. The New Mexico Film Office has a liaison program that uses their liaisons to contact with the state and local governments and municipalities to help bring the film industry into areas and, film movies there. And so what we will operate as is we'll be location agents through that office as well. And so far we're doing pretty good. We just don't have any film contracts coming down here yet, but we are, we've got a lot of our paperwork into the New Mexico Film Office. And Mike's going to tell you about the government entities that we've worked with and already gotten designation from. And I guess that's about it, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about it. I'll let him take over now.
Hi. First of all, we have the complete support of the Southwest New Mexico Council of Governments. We have a lot of support from them. We are the designated New Mexico film liaison for Catron County, Grant County, Hidalgo County, Luna County, City of Deming, Town of Hurley, Village of Santa Clara. So we're now down to Silver City and Bayard. And basically, what we are trying to do is to encourage the film companies to come here and do their films in our area. We're ignored. They do all their films up in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, because they have all the amenities up there. Well, we've got amenities here too, and what Glenn and I are going to do is network the 4 counties, and we're going to represent this area as a region, not just Grant County or Silver City. We want to do it as a region. And we've had a lot of interest from the other counties. We've begun filming, taking photographs in the area and touring and everything. We're going to be adding these to the New Mexico Film Office library, film library. And the problem with the film industry is they've got tons of scripts. And if you look at their websites, don't send us any scripts. We won't take them. But they're always looking for new places for what I call wallpaper and what the film industry refers to as backgrounds. We've got lots of backgrounds out there. We've got lots of locations, things of that nature, and basically what we want to do is we want to get the film industry interested in visiting our part of the world because it's distinctly different from the rest of New Mexico. We want them to bring money here. We want them to use our local resources, our businesses, like lodging or food or heavy construction or whatever. We want them to use local resources here. People have desires to be in a movie. I don't, but other people do. And I want to be able to present that opportunity to our local residents and see if they cannot benefit from having a film here in the area. So we're asking for your support and hopefully a letter of designation for us to represent Silver City as well. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? When you're looking for this designation, are you looking for public funds to help support you in this endeavor? So you have your own business plan and model that sustain yourself?
We are, and we are a licensed business in the state of New Mexico. It gave birth on the 1st of January of this year, and we are licensed as a business in Grant County. And so we're not asking for any public funding from any government. because we would like to remain neutral. So we're not subject to any political pressure from a particular group. So we would just like to maintain our independence and on our own merit be able to go out and attract the film company to come here and to film in our area.
A question that I asked you before, if there was ever a point where we had to get into some sort of contractual agreement, do you have the ability and the desire to meet any type of public information request that might present itself to you if we ended up in some sort of a contractual agreement?
Absolutely. We want to work with all the local governments. We just want we want to make something happen in our part of the world. So, again, we're not asking for any public funding. We're not asking for an office. I operate out of my home. We have a website, and we're beginning to put photographs out there, but our business is separate from being the film liaison. They're two different things. The film liaison, in my mind, is they're reactive. The film company comes to them, and they say, we're going to have a particular project. What do you have? We, on the other hand, our customers, we are photographing their property, so we have their permission, and we are going to put videotape and still photography together, and we're going to send these to the film industry. Say, this is what we got. If you like it, here's who to call.
More questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
It's not a question.
Councilor Bepson?
It's actually not a question for the two of you. It's actually a request of staff for someone to please turn this light because it's shining right into my eyes. The LCD projector is just giving me a blinding headache. Sorry, I'm just having difficulty concentrating.
I just have one more comment.
Yes, sir.
Is in our role as New Mexico Film Office liaisons, we would have no contracts with the government entities, and it's all pro bono work, and that keeps that portion separate from the members' film, which is an agency operation that we make agreements with private landowners. The NMFO liaison would be doing all of the work with public properties, certainly. That would be, public property, but anything else that comes along. It depends on what the film industry says they want, and if they go through and see pictures that we put in the NMFO library, they call us. That's all pro bono work.
Thank you. Next report, Ted Pressler again. Presenting for the Western Institute of Lifelong Learning about community program about domestic violence in Grant County that will be held on March 26, 2014 from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the WNMU Miller Library Forum.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of you know about the WILL program. We're known for our our classes, and we are up to 150. You've heard me talk about this before. Well, it just so happens on April 4th, we're going to have our annual one-day university, thanks to the support from Dr. Joseph Shepard. He's going to throw in at least one meal, lunch. But we have Dr. Jennifer Coleman, Jim Pendergast, and Bill Norris talking about their field of expertise. It starts at 8 o'clock for registration. We'll kick off around 9:30, 9-ish. Dr. Shepard will talk about the master plan, perhaps, of the university, and we'll be off and running. So, it doesn't cost anything. It's free. Please, the only thing we ask is register, and I left some brochures out there on the table so we can get a head count on lunch and breakfast. So, thank you. My presentation, though, is a sad one. The topic is Love is Respect, a community response to domestic violence. If you would have picked up one of our newspapers today, you would have seen this headline: Mother to face abuse charges. If you would have picked up an article by Nicholas Kristof a couple of Sundays ago in the New York Times, he asked us a question: what strikes one American woman in 4 and claims a life in the U.S. every 6 hours? domestic violence. I have some slides here I want to show you. Actually, by the way, the meeting starts at 6 o'clock. We've changed it 6 to 8 o'clock so that the library can take up after us. But the domestic violence panel participants and advisors, we got Kendra Milligan, Sylvia Madrid from El Refugio, and Amy Wagner from the same organization, Sheriff Raul Venezuela, who from the Sheriff's Department, hopefully the Silver City Police Department. We're going to have the 6th Judicial District Attorney's Office, Francesca Martinez Estevez, Reverend Paul Moore, representing the Church of Good Shepherd, Annie Lessam, who's a community organizer, and myself. Why? It's pretty obvious. There is a cycle of violence, and we may think of overseas and Iraq and Afghanistan and so forth, but this cycle is right here in Grant County and Silver City. And the whole purpose of this is to stop the silence. Let's bring it out and talk about it. Cycle. Increased tension, anger, blaming, and arguing. Phase 2, battering, hitting, slapping, kicking, that's choking, use of weapons, sexual abuse, verbal threats and abuse. Phase 3 is a calm stage, which this stage may decrease over time. A man may deny violence, saying, well, I was drunk, say he's sorry, and promise it'll never happen again. But what this is all about, and I have to say this too, this is not just women who are victims, men are victims, and children are victims. In fact, while I was at the WNU Museum, and someone overheard me talking about this panel, and he came up to me and said there was a young girl who came onto his property, badly bruised, 2 black eyes, blood from her body, and she looked like she had a broken arm. And he offered to call the police. She said no. Her sister came a little bit later and said, don't worry about it, I'm going to take her back to her house. Power and control, intimidation, afraid to bring this out. So I've broken this down into women, men, and children. Let's stop violence against women. Men can stop rape. No means no. Break the silence. And this is a UK slide, but it certainly applies. Many of these victims say, well, it must have been my fault. It's the domestic abuse, I deserved it. He says he loves me. Then he says he's sorry after he beat this poor woman. But the other thing is, too, the violence is not always visible. It could be psychological. It could be, as in this case, this woman had broken ribs, 2 loose teeth, 5 cigarette burns on her leg. And you can't always tell. As I said, it comes in different shapes and forms. And unfortunately, in our society, we sometimes have our male gender thinking they're tough guys and the real man. But no matter what, we need to break the silence on this domestic violence. Who killed the women? 95% of the women who died were killed by their intimate partner. Speak. As I said, it's not just women. If we end the violence against women, we've only solved half the problem. Women actually are sometimes the aggressors, which we don't recognize. So we have domestic violence against men. So again, lift the mask of domestic abuse. The brutal truth, 40% of domestic abuse victims are male. That's 2 out of every 5 victims. Who killed the men? 28% of the men who died were killed by their intimate partner. Children. It shouldn't hurt to be a child. Your hand should nurture, not punish. Raise your hand against smacking. And did you know that exposure to violence affects almost 2 in every 3 children within the United States? 46 of the 76 million children living in the U.S. are exposed to violence, crime, and abuse each year. Poverty increases the risk and adverse impact of exposure to violence in children. 1 in 10 children in the U.S. are poly victims, having been exposed to multiple forms of violence involving family violence, child physical and sexual abuse, and/or community violence. Physical abuse is a leading substantiated report of child maltreatment in military families. In military families, children's physical abuse was twice as likely to be found in families with spousal abuse present. Your words have power. Use them wisely. 20% of women and 5 to 10% of men report that they were sexually abused as a child. Let's stop the violence against kids. Globally, nearly half of the 15 to 19-year-olds think a husband is justified in beating his wife under certain circumstances. And just because you can't see violence against children doesn't mean it's not there. 40% of rape victims are under 17. No more. Together, we can end domestic violence and sexual assault. When domestic violence hits our community, we can all help. We can all help. We can protect the privacy and confidentiality of the victim. We can offer a listening ear to a friend or a family member who is being abused and ask how you can help. And the list goes on. Educate, prevent, support. And relationships matter. Patience, honesty, compromise, trust. October every year, it's the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We would hope that we could make a big deal about October and this cause this October. Shattering the silence. We're hoping that our pastors will have strategies for addressing sexual and domestic violence. It does not discriminate. You can help. The whole purpose of this panel is we have our sheriff, our police, we have counselors, the DA, pastors, and so forth, is to address this problem and bring it to the front. And I hope this is only the beginning of forums like this in the community. Thank you.
Is there any questions for Mr. Presley?
No, sir.
Thank you for your time. It is a subject that's far too easy to ignore and hide from, and thank you for bringing it to our attention. Next report is the Community Development Department and Finance Department. We'll start with the Community Development.
Yes, you can see Peter Russell put together a book for you. I asked him to keep it down to 15 minutes at the moment. Okay.
I wouldn't mind if he just took his time and just read it verbatim.
I did prepare a report for you that I have handed out ahead of time, and mostly it's just for you to take home and review, and it's a list of statistics, of permits issued, of cases addressed, of decisions made, and we'd be happy to meet with any of you anytime to discuss any of these issues, but I just wanted to give it to you as an overview of what our program does. I have a slideshow that I'm going to run through very quickly that is not just a repetition of this, although there's some overlap, and there's no need to try and follow with your booklet. We'll just go through this quickly and then maybe answer any questions as we go along. The Community Development Department is a fairly large department and has a lot of different responsibilities. There's a mapping program, there's a code enforcement program, there's a building inspection program, there's affordable housing program, there's a sustainability program, and of course there's the planning and zoning function that we all undertake. The first one I want to address just real quickly is the mapping program. There's one full-time equivalent person, David Lawrence. He's right here. He's the mapper, and basically, his function provides service to all of the other departments in town, including agencies over at the county and at the state, private entities. I just want to show you a few images of what some of the mapping capabilities he has. This is an aerial photograph of Silver City in 2011, and it has incredible resolution. As you can see, that's just a segment of the same photograph. The town also has all of the assessor maps, and the town itself is the dark green icon, and this map also shows the extraterritorial area of jurisdiction that the town has 3 miles outside the city limits. The town does building inspection in that area, and also the fire department has some responsibilities in that area as well. This is a slide of the town water utilities. The shaded area is the town. As you can see, the utilities extend far outside the town, up to Pinos Altos, down to Tyrone, over to Arenas Valley. Some of those areas are water associations, but we provide bulk water to them. This map also allows you to see the other communities that we are working with: Hurley, Baird, Santa Clara. We're working on a regional water system with wells proposed at the airport that would also serve these areas. So the ability to display this is important as we build these partnerships. This is just an image of the sewer lines from the Silver City running to the bottom where the sewer treatment plant is. You can see that the sewer lines are a much smaller geographic area than the water lines. This is a map that shows the downtown area. It shows some zoning areas. This is residential A, this is commercial, this is residential B. This is a new zone that was established 2 years ago called the Commercial Historic District that allows kind of a mixed use in the downtown that encourages business uses, particularly the historic ones, but also residential uses. This map also denotes the metropolitan redevelopment area that the town council approved in 2012, I think it was, and there's some special tax considerations and economic development opportunities within the bounded area. Here's a map of the historic districts. It's overlaid on that aerial photograph, and so it's very easy to find where you might live within a particular historic district. The next map is a district of the council districts. It's bounded by the streets that typically form the boundaries, but we can display it differently using the aerial photograph underneath it. And so the ability to vary the elements of the imagery make for a very powerful tool to educate and to analyze. Again, there's a detail of that map. This is the boundary between District 2 over here and District 1, and someone can walk in and say, where do I live? I don't understand the map, and it's pretty easy to use. This last map is a map of all the property that the town owns, and some of it's used for parks, some of it's town facilities like the Public Works Department or the cemetery, etc. But as you can see, having this displayed pictorially really helps people understand the scale of the town ownership in this area. So the mapping program is a service that's used by the utilities department, the police department, the fire department. There's enormous capacity to serve. Our pictures have high resolution, and the GIS ability allows David to store data on the image as well. The next program I want to talk about is the code enforcement program. There's 2 full-time equivalents in that program. Julie Slice is the lead code enforcement officer. She's here this evening. Jacqueline McNeese, who is ill, is the other code enforcement officer. Last year, the code office had 971 cases, and all but 17 of them were resolved through voluntary compliance. So I think it's a remarkable effort to reach out to people and help them resolve issues. Some of those issues are really complicated. This is actually a location that was occupied by a homeless person who hoarded things as well. And it was on a city right-of-way, this was winter, a big storm was coming. The code enforcement got that person into hospital care, and the site's been cleaned up. But it's really, complicated, and it has ripple effects throughout the community. Sometimes it's not dealing with someone dysfunctional, it's just dealing with someone who's careless. And the trash won't get picked up like that, and dogs and ravens will kind of scatter it. So it's important when the sanitation crews goes by and they see that, they call code. That's who deals with this issue. The next is a picture of what seems like a beautiful little stream in the summer, but that's not fresh water. When there's a sewer leak, it's the code enforcement that does, the enforcement on those issues. And sometimes the enforcement's kind of tough. It might involve shutting off the water to the person that's allowing that leakage to occur. Again, these are complicated, big issues. This is an issue that you see occasionally in town. It's an abandoned structure. The owner died, no heirs. There's nobody responsible for it. The town used the abatement program for abandoned buildings, and what they did is, that's the site. Can you go back to the picture? The tree that you see in the background there is the same tree that you see here. And you can see that it has a remarkable effect on the neighborhood of getting this cleaned up. It's complicated, it involves legal filings, but it's worth it. In the last 5 years, the town has performed 18 of these clearances. The next program I want to talk about is the building inspection program. We have 1 full-time equivalent. It's David Farley. He's here. He last year issued 185 building permits, and the valuation of the work was a little over $4 million. He reviews all plans for construction in Silver City, and if it meets the town standards and the zoning code, then he'll issue a building permit. Building really can't take place without having a permit issued so that people can track what's going on. He performs a series of different kinds of inspections. This is, a framing inspection, but he does foundation inspections, framing inspections. He does stucco inspections, insulation inspections, all kinds of work to assure the town that the quality of the work meets the town standards. And at the end, he issues the certificate of occupancy. The town doesn't actually do the electrical and mechanical and plumbing inspections. Those are performed by the state, but David issues a certificate of occupancy that depends on the state certifying that those other inspections have been completed correctly. The town also has an affordable housing program. There's 1 full-time equivalent. That's Mike Ely. He's right here. And in 2013, he worked on 4 rehabilitations, housing that's in poor condition, to improve it. This is a before picture of one of those rehabilitations. The next one is an after. It's the same building, just from different shots. He did 4 rehabs last year for a total value, these are grants that he's writing that come in for this, of $290,000. He also has been working for many years to develop the Vista de Plata subdivision, which broke ground, I guess, 2 years ago now. And this is a before picture. The subdivision has been platted, and this year 4 houses have been, they're not quite complete. 2 of them are complete, and 2 of them are just about complete. He's also, over the long term, brought in, since 2005, over $2 million in state grants for rehabilitation, and he's brought in federal and state grants for about $2 million for developing the infrastructure for the Vista de Plata subdivision. The next program I want to just touch on briefly is the sustainability program. There's 1.5 full-time equivalents. Denise Smith is the director of the program. There's also a planner working on energy and efficiency, and Terry Timmy, who works on recycling and special projects. In the last year, the wastewater treatment plant has gotten the solar array constructed. That was constructed at no cost to the city, but it brings the city a savings of approximately, I think it's $90,000 a year in terms of reduced energy bills. The Office of Sustainability also wrote grants that got in a trash compactor that saves the Solid Waste Authority $25,000 a year in transportation costs. So the conservation work that they do generates a lot of savings as well. They have developed a water conservation plan for the town. They do a lot of outreach to the public. Here's the electric light exchange. Give us your incandescent, we'll give you a fluorescent bulb. They've completed, in addition to the water conservation plan, a sustainability plan, a community forestry plan. Denise wrote a grant for redoing the watering system at the Ben Altamirano Fields, which has reduced water use to date by 60%. So this is really a program that saves the town a lot of money and a lot of resources. Again, there's more information in your little handout, but I just wanted to run through this quickly to give you some highlights of what they do. And then the program that I'm most directly involved is the planning and zoning program. There's has been 3 full-time equivalents in the program. Myself, the community development director, Jamie Embeck, who's operating the computer here, and we have a vacancy right now for budgetary reasons. We do all of the use regulation in town. We ensure that the kinds of buildings that are going in are appropriate to the zoning districts, that the businesses that are going in are appropriate to the zoning district. We manage the map. We bring cases before the Planning and Zoning Commission if people are seeking some kind of change to the zoning map. We do all the land divisions in town, whether it's a boundary adjustment or a single lot split or the subdivisions, those come before us. We do all of the commercial plan review for projects. Here's a project that's coming to Silver City, the CVS Pharmacy, and we will ensure that the parking standards have been met and the lighting standards have been met, and we're working with the other departments to coordinate the whether there's sufficient fire flow for the hydrants, or that the sewer utility can handle the additional service, etc. So there's a big coordinating function that we have with the other departments. We provide staff for the Historic Design Review Committee, which looks at development in the historic district. Most of the review is dealing with voluntary standards of protecting historic properties, but there's some requirements as well that have to do with materials and size and massing. We also staff the Planning and Zoning Commission, who make decisions about variances or conditional uses, and they also have hearings on zone changes or subdivisions, and they make recommendations that are carried forward to the council. We work with the council as well, bringing forward the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission and dealing with issues that don't necessarily come before planning and zoning. For instance, tonight you'll be hearing a street vacation. We issued 97 permits administratively through the department. The Planning and Zoning Commission made 6 recommendations or approvals, all of which were approved, and 5 issues came before the town. The town zoning program has also been involved in the last 5 years with development of the Arts and Cultural District Cultural Plan, with the development of the Downtown Action Plan that morphed into the Metropolitan Redevelopment Plan. We brought before the council the land use code, amendments in 2010. We worked with Mike Healy, who developed a housing plan. That's the basis of a lot of the work that he's doing together. And we also, in 2011, were the managers of the theater district plan, which you will see in your notes as Silver City District Plan, which is a typo that I regret, but there it is. I'm openly acknowledging it. And that's basically, in a nutshell, our program. Did I meet the 15-minute requirement?
Yeah, you met it, but I think one of the most important things that this department does is they bring together all the different organizations, departments, and they are central focal point of organization of a lot of the projects, especially within the town, different departments. For instance, we have engineers meetings every couple of weeks, and when it comes to a street project, the Public Works Department is strictly focused on how the street's going to get done. But it's always Peter's job to look at how is it going to affect the neighborhood, how is it going to affect the water sewer, the long-term effects of the neighborhood itself. That's one thing that the department is very important, a very important function of what they do. On top of that, not just within the city, they've been, especially Peter's been very instrumental in a lot of regional types of projects, especially the one that he talked about initially, the regional water plan. He was very instrumental in coming up with some of the ideas for that project that has come a long way to get water to the entire region. Also, the Office of Sustainability. Initially, that program was set up as a Grant County project that we led. We led it. They did, I think it was like 400 and some weatherization projects within homes within Grant County as a whole. So they look at the entire area, not just Silver City. They look at everything. As a long-term planning is how does Grant County and our partners within Grant County, how can we all help each other? So I just want to commend these guys. Do a very good job. And if there's questions that you have about a lot of different things that are happening within Grant County, not just Silver City, these are the people to come and talk to.
A lot more information is in the handout that I gave to you, but I did want to run through this quickly and just touch on the highlights. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have, whether you want to give them to Alex or come by the department or raise them in a different meeting. I do want to recognize one other staff member, Terry Timmy, who works on recycling issues.
Anybody have any immediate questions? Councilor Amundsen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can we bring the lights up? It feels weird to be in the dark. Thank you. I'm really impressed. I love the pictures of the before and after. That was great. Really, I enjoyed that very much. It sounds to me like the Office of Sustainability ought to be called the Office of Saving You Money, which is something that you said. And I don't know if you guys are doing this or not. We can talk offline, but when I was an operations manager and was doing process improvement, when my team would really save money, I'd put a little bit aside for the next projects, which they found very motivating, because then they knew that they were funding their own future stuff. And so I'd really like to talk with you more about the process improvement and all that you're doing. I'm very impressed. Thank you.
Great idea. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Peter. Even after 4 years, it's still overwhelming to understand, and I don't believe I'll ever understand everything you do. Thank you. Next department, Finance Department. I hope your report's at least as short as his.
I didn't prepare a book for you guys, I'm sorry. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Anita Norero, the Deputy Finance Director. So I oversee the Finance Department. The Finance Department consists of our meters department, our utility billing, accounts payable, purchasing, payroll. We have one receptionist, and we also do the grant administration. All those grants that Peter was talking about, they get them, and we take care of the financial end of all that, and reporting. So we work really close with them on, and not only community development, but public works, the water sewer department. We work really close with all them on the grants and on the financial end. I'll just go over briefly what each department does within the finance department. The meters department, we have 4 meter readers. Currently, we have 6,500 meters installed, and those meters are read monthly. So you're looking at about 78,000 yearly reads that they do, and that's only for billing purposes. That number does not include the shutoffs and reconnects that they do weekly, daily. They're also responsible for the maintenance and repairs of all the meters within the town. The utility billing, of course, they do the billing and they receive payments for all the utility bills. So with about 6,500 meters, they deal with about 78,000 transactions per year. They're also in charge of selling the cemetery plots, the business registrations, which I believe it's close to 1,100 a year that they process. And then they also do the accounts receivable for any other small revenues coming in that they process and post to the budget or to the line items. And in utility billing, I have 3 utility billing clerks. Then I have accounts payable, which I have 2, Amanda and Priscilla. They work closely with all the departments to make sure, all the invoices are approved and processed to get paid timely. They are in charge of making sure all our vendors' W-9s are updated. They issue our 1099s yearly, and they also deal with our daily deposits. We have 1 purchasing agent, Leanne. She's here tonight, Leanne Miskus. She works with all town employees and departments, ensuring that all procurement is followed and that they are obtaining quotes. If things have to go out to bid, she puts things out to bid, requests for proposals. She also verifies travel. She also works closely with all the departments. She works closely with our engineers on the larger projects that have to go out to bid, so she does also attend those engineers meetings so we know where we are on projects. She's in charge of issuing our purchase orders. Like I said, sending things out to bid, out for proposal. She oversees our credit card purchases. Every single credit card purchase that is made by town employees who have town credit cards, she goes through every single receipt to verify that those are appropriate purchases and approved, and that they're not buying things that they shouldn't be, and that they are following the procurement code. And every once in a while we do have purchasing violations, so if departments or employees are doing things wrong, she does issue violations, and we keep that recorded to ensure, that they know, they're aware of what they're doing wrong, and make sure that it gets corrected. And she's also in charge of keeping inventory of our fixed assets. And I believe right now our fixed assets, it's over $90 million, so she keeps inventory of that monthly and then yearly, and she oversees all that. I have one payroll clerk, Stephen, he's not here tonight. He processes payroll and benefits for, currently we have 160 full-time employees and 4 part-time employees. So he processes all the payroll, the benefits for all the employees. He submits payments for PARA, our retiree health, various insurances, health insurance, life insurance, etc. He submits reports and state and federal taxes, every payroll. He also submits reports to the Department of Workforce Solutions and quarterly reports to the IRS. He also submits the gross receipts monthly. He's responsible for making sure all W-2s and W-4s are updated. And he also assists with utility payment bank drafts. As far as grant administration, right now we have 20 open grants, which is about $3 million right now. We get funding from various sources. We get funding from the Department of Transportation, Historic Preservation, Economic Development, Traffic Safety Bureau, the U.S. Department of Justice, CDBG, Colonias, Capital Outlay, Freeport-McMoran, Mortgage Finance Authority, New Mexico Energy, Mineral, and Natural Resources, HUD, EPA, the New Mexico Industry Commission, Library Book Bond, Court Automation, EMS, and that's just a few. I mean, those, as we close up grants, we're getting new grants, so we work with various local, state, and federal agencies. We are also fiscal agent for Main Street on some of their grants. We're the fiscal agent for District Court on their JJAC grant, and we also are the fiscal agent for the Region 7 Drug Task Force. So that's just a real quick rundown on our grants. Right now, as far as our budget, right now we're managing about a $27 million budget. And with that, my department, we ensure that all the money coming in and coming out is accounted for. We ensure that especially all the money going out, it is approved expenditures. We have controls and processes put in place to ensure that, you know, if an invoice comes in, we don't just pay it. We make sure that there's a purchase order, so that purchase was approved. The invoices are signed off by the departments who made that purchase to ensure that the goods and services were received. And we just make sure that everything's in compliance with the federal, state, and our local laws and regulations. Our budget is broken down into different categories. We have our general fund, special revenues, our grants, capital projects, our enterprise funds, debt service, and internal services, and trust and agency funds. Our main sources of revenue for the general fund come from our gross receipts tax, property taxes, and franchise fees. Our enterprise funds, those funds are water, sewer, and sanitation funds. So those come from what we bill our customers for: water, sewer, wastewater. And then from sanitation, that's collections and landfill fees. Our special revenues consist of like our law enforcement protection fund, fire protection, lodger's tax, our public safety tax. So that's where the majority of our revenues come from. And as far as my position, all these transactions that are going on daily and monthly, I get to reconcile those at the end of every month and make sure that everything's posted correctly and that we're balancing what our books show is what our bank statements show. So I reconcile bank statements. I do our monthly reports to show that everything's balancing. I submit our quarterly reports to the Department of Finance and Administration in Santa Fe. And I work closely with Alex and help me prepare the budget every year. I provide him with the numbers so he can do what he needs to do, and then I do the end of the year process again, you know, budget everything, balance everything that's happened throughout the year, and get that reported to DFA. And we also work closely with our auditors. You know, we have really good auditors, and they keep us informed, and if there's any changes, things that we need to look for there. they're really good to help us. So that's just a real quick rundown. I don't know if you guys have any questions or...
So in other words, another clean audit is going to be a piece of cake, right?
Yes. I have a really good staff, so yes.
Yeah, when you're talking about $27 million budget expenditures, revenues in and out, and you can balance books to bank within $250, I think you're doing a really good job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any questions? Councilor Bedison?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Peter and Anita for doing this. And I know this is something that you'll be doing for every council meeting as we move forward towards the budget, since we have 2 new councilors and a new mayor. But it's appreciated to hear it and have it gone through. It's really the first time I've heard it gone all the way through, and this is my 3rd term, so I appreciate it greatly. And it amazes me how much we accomplish with some incredible staff, and they make us look very, very good because of how well they manage our budgets and how well they keep the town moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. I look forward to working with you guys.
And I want to get to Anita because she almost cried before when I told her she had to come.
Well, I do, and I appreciate those reports greatly, and I appreciate the fact that we have a nice big meeting, and we're relatively full compared to a lot of our meetings, because this is important not only for our new council to get an education on what we do and all the pieces that go into this town. Hopefully, some of our audience has learned something. Even though we don't always like to be educated, I think it's very important and hopefully very informative to everybody else. No other questions for any other staff reports? Chief? Anybody else that I missed? Ann? Ms. Mackey?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I just wanted to give you an update on our ordinance that was voted in favor of by the voters for the public safety tax. The requirement of the Taxation and Revenue Department is that following the election, I was required and have done so. I have submitted a certified copy of the ordinance and a certified copy of the certificate of election to inform them that the electorate did approve the town council's ordinance for the public safety, continuing the public safety tax. So I just wanted to keep you abreast of that. And so we're on track. And since I have the opportunity, may I also announce the openings on our town boards and committees? Okay. We have openings on the Grant County Silver City Extraterritorial Subdivision Commission, the Museum Board, the Incentive Review Committee, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the Recycling Advisory Committee. And our information about these are on the town's website, or they can come see me at City Hall. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Bedison?
Mr. Mayor, I move for a short break.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a short recess. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll call this meeting back to order. Moving on to public hearings. Next on the agenda is a public hearing entitled Approval Disapproval of Resolution Number 2014-13, a resolution to vacate part of the Chloride Street right-of-way lying between blocks 204 and 205 Fraser Survey, comprising 12,371 square feet or 0.284 acre, requested by Western New Mexico University. The university is the applicant. The town will serve as the hearing board, and I, as mayor, will be the presiding officer. Have any members of this hearing board had ex parte discussions with any person regarding the subject matter of this hearing, or had any communications from any party to this case?
No, sir. No.
You are all qualified. Will all parties and witnesses intending to testify, including those staff members who intend to present testimony or who will be available for questioning, please rise and come to the podium to be sworn in by the town clerk. If you have not been sworn in, you will not be permitted to testify or otherwise participate in this hearing.
First, I need your names and addresses on here. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Peter Russell,
Do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I am about to give in the matter before this council is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under penalty of perjury.
The hearing will be conducted as follows. The town staff shall present a brief synopsis of the application based on the application or actions taken by the director, by the P&Z Commission, or by town staff. Then the applicant shall present their case. Next will come witnesses in support of the applicant's case. The applicant's staff or witnesses may then be questioned by the hearing board. The presiding officer will then ask the applicant if that concludes its case in chief and states that the proponent and its witnesses will remain available to be further questioned by the hearing board, by staff, or by the opponents to the appeal or application. Following the close of the applicant's case, witnesses in opposition to the applicant's case shall be permitted to testify, during the course of which the witness may address questions to any previous witness, but such questions shall be made through the presiding officer. The presiding officer shall have the sole discretion in directing the question or for response, considering whether the question is relevant, is cumulative to other testimony, or is otherwise inappropriate. At the close of testimony against the application, the presiding officer asks the applicant, is there anything else you wish to be reflected in the record? This time, town staff.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilors. This is street vacation 1401. It is the first street vacation of 2014. You will notice that Western New Mexico University has requested the vacation. They own the property to the east and south of the vacation, and they also are in the process of interest in purchasing the parcel to the west. It comprises approximately 0.284 acres, and it's in between blocks 204 and 205 of the Fraser survey. This is an aerial photograph of the area outlined in turquoise, the remainder of Chloride Street. I know that parts of the other areas of Chloride Street have been vacated previously. This is one of the remainders, and you'll see the president's house is at the south end of the turquoise triangle, and his driveway comprises most of the rest of it. There is a carport on the southwest of the parcel that is owned by the Pinkerton estate at this point. That is the parcel that Western New Mexico University is interested in purchasing. According to section 6.3.17 of the Land Use Code, a vacation of a town street right-of-way by the town allows the applicant to purchase and have full use and ownership of the property. You will notice that this is it never has been used as a town street. In this case, the university is in the purchase process for the property to the west of the proposed vacation and owns the property to the east and the south. The town council may approve the vacation of a town right-of-way or a portion thereof. It finds that the street right-of-way is located within the municipal limits of the town and is dedicated to and maintained by the town. The requested vacation conforms to the town's comprehensive plan, the land use code, and any relevant policies adopted by the town. And the proposed vacation does not endanger the health, safety, or general welfare of the community, and the town has no current or future need for the street right-of-way proposed for vacation. It is the recommendation of the Community Development Department that this application meets the required criteria for street vacation, and that the remaining part of Chloride Street be vacated and conveyed to the university with the following 2 conditions. Number 1, that the Chloride Street right-of-way revert to the town if the university does not purchase the privately owned property that is adjacent to the west of this right-of-way. And number 2, that the university will assume ownership of, as well as liability and maintenance responsibility for the water lines in the right-of-way and the adjacent properties, and pay for the acquisition and installation of a master water meter in the College Avenue right-of-way to serve these properties. I will go ahead and put the map back up for you, and turn the lights on, Peter. We have one member of the community who is the property owner of the prospective sale property to the west. His name is Joe Vinsel. He has approached Mr. Russell with concern to the street vacation and the carport that is in the southwest part of the property. He is here tonight, and Mr. Russell also prepared a memo stating that he did speak with him and that the condition that the property revert to the town in case the sale does not go through will protect him so that he will still have access to that carport if the sale of the property does not go through. So that is the basis of condition number 1. Do you have any questions? Would you like to see anything again?
Any questions, or we'll move on to the applicant? Allow President Shepherd to present his case.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say on behalf of the university, we're in agreement with the conditions placed on it, that if we should not purchase the property, that we're willing to revert those rights, of course, back to the city, and naturally provide the necessary. And if we do purchase the property and we have conditions in it where the current resident is residing, and there's also an apartment in the back of that, we naturally know that they will need to get in and out of their property during that duration, and we agree to that as well. With that, I'd be happy to address any questions, concerns that you might have.
Any questions? Are there any witnesses in support of the applicant's case?
I'm here to represent the family, and I guess I would be the witness, and I support the whole...
Could you state your name, sir?
Joe Vinsel. And I support the whole transfer of property, the vacation, just as it's proposed, and also the reverting of the property back to the city if the purchase does not go through.
Does this conclude the applicant's case in chief?
Naturally, if the property did not go through and it reverted back to the city, the assumption would be, and I'd like to make sure it's part of the record, that the university would not be responsible for putting in a master meter.
Councilor Medicine.
This is for staff, so Jamie or Peter. So as to the applicant's just recent comment, because it's not quite clear in the condition, I kind of figured that would be the case. I guess it would be important to understand that it's not until the purchase occurs that the actual master water meter would have to be installed. It's after the completion of the purchase and all that goes through. So it's not something that has to be done prior to. And I just want to make sure that that's in the record as well. Is that part of the... Okay.
There are existing meters in that Chloride Street right-of-way, and they would just need to be moved and probably to the 12th Street right-of-way.
I just wanted to clarify it because it's not quite, as the applicant says, it's not quite clear here.
So I believe there are 3 meters in the right-of-way.
Chloride Street right-of-way that the town goes to and reads. If the right-of-way is vacated, then that would be all private property. So the meters would just remain in place. They're under concrete. They're quite difficult to kind of move. And what the town staff had proposed was that a master meter serving those properties be installed on College Street within the little verge between the sidewalk and the street. And that then the other meters would be kind of moot. The university could use them for their own internal purposes if they were renting out the parcel to someone to know how much water is there. But there would be a single meter that would serve all of those residences and structures.
But that installation of the master water meter would not need to take place immediately after vacation if it occurs?
It's only required if the property transfers into the university hands. Otherwise, it's not required.
Just wanted to make sure that that condition was well stated. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Just for affirmation, did that conclude your case in chief?
That concludes the applicant's case. Thank you.
And please be available. The applicant and witnesses, please remain available for further questioning by the hearing board, by staff, or by the opponents. Are there any witnesses in opposition to the applicant's case? Is there anything else you wish to be reflected in the record? Does any member of the hearing board have any questions for any witnesses? Is the hearing board prepared to consider this application and render its decision?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Smith.
I move that we approve resolution number 2014-13, a resolution to vacate part of the Chloride Street right-of-way, lying between blocks 204 and 205, Fraser Survey, comprising 12,371 square feet, or 0.284 acres, requested by Western New Mexico University.
Do we have to state... I'll second the motion, but do we have to state criteria and findings? What is the requirement?
Are you asking?
Yeah, one of you.
Yes, and then you would also like to apply any conditions that you see relevant in your...
So what would I add?
You may just state that it meets criteria 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you would like to apply conditions 1 and 2, or have your own.
She can recommend per staff?
Yes.
the terms of the street vacation per staff.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for that. So I'd like to recommend the recommendations per staff.
And it meets criteria.
And that it meets criteria 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I second the motion as stated.
We have a motion and a second to approve approval of resolution number 2014-13, a resolution to vacate part of the Chloride Street right-of-way line between blocks 204 and 205, Fraser Survey, comprising 12,371 square feet, or .284 acre requested by Western New Mexico University, meeting criteria set forth 1, 2, 3, and 4 per staff recommendation, and conclusions 1 and 2.
I think I said all of them.
All of them per staff recommendation. Any further discussion? Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
It's roll call.
Roll call.
Councilor Benson?
Aye.
Councilor Aiken Smith? Aye. Councilor Ray?
Aye.
Councilor Khan? Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is under new business is approval, disapproval of 2 public celebration permit applications for the SRAM Tour of the Gila Bicycle Race Beer and Spirit Garden on May 3rd, 2014 at 703 North Bullard Street, Silver City, New Mexico. License holders are Little Toad Creek Distillery, license number 63004 at 1122 Highway 35, Members, New Mexico, 88049. And 2, Little Toad Creek Brewery, license number 67021 at 1122 Highway 35, Members, New Mexico, 88049. Anyone?
Good evening. My name is Jack Brennan. I'm the race director for Tour of the Gila. Thank you for listening to our application.
Good evening. Michelle Giels, President, Tour of the Gila, Inc. We would just wish to extend our thank you and gratitude to the town of Silver City, all the councilors, and also to Grant County and our wonderful community. And just a small correction that we didn't catch on that is it's the Silver City Tour of the Gila, powered by SRAM. So we are applying once again for a beer garden at our expo during the downtown criterium races. These will take place Saturday, May 3rd, from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. And basically, it's the same setup since for the last 3 years. So I don't know if you guys have any questions, but we are happy to answer any.
Is there any questions? Any comments? Entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve two public celebration permits applications for the SRAM Tour of Gila Bicycle Race Beer and Spirit Garden on May 3rd, 2014 at 703 North Bullard Street, Silver City, New Mexico. License holders are 1, Little Toad Creek Distillery, license number 63004, 1122 Highway 35, Members, New Mexico, 88049. And number 2, Little Toad Creek Brewery, license number 67021, 1122 Highway 35, Members, New Mexico, 88049. With the waiver, the granting of waiver of New Mexico statutes number 60-6B-10.
We have a motion and a second for approval of 2 celebration permit applications for the SRAM Tour of the Gila Bicycle Race Beer and Spirit Garden on May 3rd, 2014 at 703 North Bullard Street, Silver City, New Mexico. License holders are Little Toad Creek Distillery, license number 63004 at 1122 Highway 35, Members, New Mexico, 88049. And number 2, Little Toad Creek Brewery, license number 67021 at 1122 Highway 35, Members, New Mexico, 88049, with the waiver of New Mexico statutes annotated number 60-6B-10. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Do we need a roll call? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is approval of one public celebration permit application for the Archaeological Society of New Mexico's annual meeting on April 11th through the 12th, 2014 at the Murray Hotel, 200 North Broadway, Silver City, New Mexico. Liquor license holder La Esperanza Vineyard, LLC, license number 6148, 100 Del San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm Bill Hudson from the Grant County Archaeological Society. During the weekend of April 11th through the 13th, the Grant County Archaeological Society will be hosting the annual meeting of the Archaeological Society of New Mexico at the Murray Hotel. We anticipate about 100 attendees. We're here tonight to request approval of a public celebration permit for the evenings of Friday, April 11th and Saturday, April 12th at the Murray Hotel. This would be provided as stated by the La Esperanza Winery in the Members Valley. And I would also like to thank all the members of the town staff who have gone out of their way, I think, to help us obtain this, and that it has just come to my attention this evening that because the Murray Hotel is within 300 yards of the Catholic Church, it will be necessary for me to also get a letter of waiver from the Catholic Church, so that I would undertake to get that done tomorrow morning. And if I could answer any questions, be glad to.
Are there any questions?
I just have a question, and it's actually not for you, it's for staff, because of the report that we have before us. So if Milo, if the fire marshal could please complete the report and let us know, based on what we have before us, we would not be able to grant this permit, but would like to know what the status is at this time.
Certainly, Mayor, members of the council, one small correction, it's 300 feet of a church, not 300 yards. However, the proper process for the use of a building is to obtain a certificate of occupancy. And at this point, the Murray Ballroom does not have a certificate of occupancy due to the fact that it's under construction. Now, your typical process is for the state inspectors to do their inspections on their trade, and then David issues a certificate of occupancy, I sign it, and they're able to use that occupancy for public use on a regular basis. The Murray Ballroom is still under construction, and fire code allows for conditional permitting, where permits are required, and upon the request of a permit applicant, the fire code official is authorized to issue conditional permit to occupy the premise or portion thereof before the entire work or operations on the premises are completed. Now, this allows for this conditional permit would allow for the use of the Murray Ballroom on a one-time event based on that ballroom or that space meeting the requirements for public safety. I met with the owner of the Murray several times, and we discussed a multitude of issues, which included the emergency lighting had to be installed and functional, the exit signs had to be functional, several of the strobes for the fire alarm system had to be installed and functioning properly. We also had a couple of wall covering issues and some egress issues for exiting the building. So I generated a letter to the owner of the Murray and told him that by this date, when we're going to attempt to issue a conditional permit, these items must be fixed. I did go this afternoon to the Murray, and everything on that list has been resolved. I do feel that the building it will provide the minimum of public safety without having an actual certificate of occupancy. Now, by issuing a conditional permit, the holder of the conditional permit shall proceed only to the point at which approval has been given, and at the permit holder's own risk. That's the direct quote from Fire Code. We have discussed with Kurt, the owner of the Murray Hotel, several times about a hold harmless clause and agreement, which he willingly signed today to assure that the town suffers no liability from the use of the ballroom for this one-time event. He has also provided copies of his insurance and has been forthcoming in his information to use this. Now, this would be a one-time conditional permit. It doesn't allow the building to be used past this point, and in order to use the building again, an actual full certificate of occupancy would have to be obtained. At this point, I feel that I would approve of the request based on the minimum life safety requirements being met and the issuance of this conditional permit. Do you have any questions?
Councilor Edison?
Thank you, Mayor. This will be a one-time conditional permit only, since the council has done this prior to this. And the building owner understands that any subsequent events cannot be held until full occupancy has been obtained, correct?
Yes, ma'am. We discussed today that the town is not interested in issuing further conditional use permits. We want to see a certificate of occupancy in its entirety for future events.
I appreciate it, because this event, having the Archaeological Society of New Mexico in Silver City is very good for the town of Silver City. It's great for the Grand County Archaeological Society. It's great for tourism. It leads right into the Clay Festival, and anything that we can do to enhance that and make sure that the event occurs is a good thing. And I'm very pleased that the building owner did meet the conditions today, did complete the task that you, as fire marshal, had provided, so that the conditional permit would be issued, and did agree and does understand that this is a one-time only, and that certificate of occupancy must be obtained before any additional events can occur in there. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else have any questions? Would you, based on this, they have met the conditions that you would have placed before. So we, at this point, for you to sign off on what you need to do, you don't need to add any more conditions to an approval if the council was to choose to do so?
Not for this event, no.
Not for this event? And it's my understanding that we do need to set the condition for the NMSA 60-6B-10 formally in a motion if the council does choose to proceed. Is there any other questions by the council?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Ray.
I move to approve one public celebration permit application for the Archaeological Society of New Mexico annual meeting on April 11th and 12th, 2014 at the Murray Hotel, 200 North Broadway, Silver City, New Mexico. Liquor license holder, La Esperanza Vineyard, LLC, license number 6148-100 De Lo, San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041, with getting a okay on the 60 -6B -10.
We have to grant that. Seems to me we grant that based on that condition. We grant that based on that condition.
To be granted, correct? Okay.
Second, please. I would second that motion.
We have a motion and a second for approval of one public celebration permit application for the Archaeological Society of New Mexico's annual meeting on April 11th through the 12th, 2014 at the Murray Hotel, 200 North Broadway, Silver City, New Mexico. Liquor license holder, La Esperanza Vineyard, LLC, license number 6148, 100 Del Lao, San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041, conditional upon our granting of waiver of New Mexico statutes annotated number 60-6B-10. Any further discussion?
There's a just waiving it.
It might be better to say that with the granting of the waiver, conditioned upon the providing of a letter from any churches or school within 300 feet of the event.
You okay with that? Any other discussion?
Okay.
No further discussion? We have a motion and a second for approval of one public celebration permit application for the Archaeological Society of New Mexico's annual meeting on April 11th through the 12th, 2014 at the Murray Hotel, 200 North Broadway, Silver City, New Mexico. Liquor license holder, La Esperanza Vineyard, LLC, license number 6148, 100 De Lao, San Lorenzo, New Mexico, 88041, with us granting waiver condition upon receiving a letter addressing New Mexico statutes annotated 60-6B-10. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. This is a job, isn't it? Next on the agenda is approval, disapproval of resolution number 2014-14, a resolution supporting the designation of the town of Silver City as a gateway community to the Continental Divide Trail System. Councilor Ray. You don't need to read, you just give a little briefing and introduce anybody you would like.
Thank you, Mayor. I was asked to see if I would be willing to sponsor this resolution here, and I did talk to Michelle Fields here a while back, and I told her that I would be more than glad to do it. And I think it would be a good beginning for Silver City and Grand County to have something like this come down. It's something that needs to be done here in Silver and in Grand County, and why not start it here?
Would anybody in the audience like to speak on this behalf?
Shelby Hallmark, Silver City.
Thank you.
The idea of the gateway community is, I think, almost universally approved by everybody we've talked to. The group that's been working on this has been very enthusiastically received, and one of the great things about this project has been that all organizations and segments of the community are kind of coming together. We have both the Green Chamber and the regular chamber, many different veterans groups, all of the panoply of environmental and trails and other groups are supporting this. I think everybody in town supports this, so I hope you guys will as well.
Any questions or comments from the council?
Comment, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Berson?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say I fully support this resolution, and I'm pleased to see it before the council. I'll be very pleased that Silver City would be the first Continental Divide Trail community. So that is wonderful. And it meshes with all the different plans we have out there, because we have a lot, but it all moves forward, and it certainly benefits all of us in many different ways, whether it's tourism, your local businesses, and just the environment of having more folks come into town to enjoy how beautiful and wonderful Silver City and Grant County are. So thank you.
Councilor Raymond Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to say how impressed I am with the work that's been done, and I look, forward at some time to seeing a map of how this is going to work with the other trails.
Councilor Kano?
Mr. Mayor, I too look very much in support of this, and I'd like to thank Mr. Hallmark and Ms. Gills and the rest of their committee for all the work that they've done. Also, I'd just like for everyone to know that there were about 25 students involved in the last meeting that they had, and it was really, really great to see the youth taking ownership of this as well. Thank you.
Is there any other comments from the audience?
Hi, I'm Nancy Gordon. I'm actually next on the agenda. But I wanted to say we were out at the Waterworks working today, and we had 2 through hikers going through on the Continental Divide Trail up Little Walnut on their way to Colorado. And so I mentioned that this meeting was being held tonight, and I thought Silver City being a gateway community was a great idea, that it's a logical place for people to stop and stay overnight and resupply. They'd actually camped out at the Silver City RV park in town. And what was interesting to me was that they showed me a map, and it showed the Continental Divide Trail coming right through Silver City and going up Little Walnut, which is not where the designated route really is, but this unofficial version takes people through Silver City, so they're doing this already. In fact, they also came across a little sign that was posted on the Continental Divide Trail that said, if you'd like a ride into Silver City, please call this number. So some enterprising individual is doing that. So I just wanted to say that I support this wholeheartedly and have hiked quite a bit of the CDT myself.
I'd like to just mention, this ties into our history and our culture beautifully. And Silver City is tied to the Gila, it's tied to the mines, it's tied to the Continental Divide Trail. It's, that's part of who we are and what's made us so successful over all these years. And the hiking community and the biking community has been growing. It's just been a huge growing part of this element, illustrated by speaking favorably from the youth, speaking favorably from the elder, the retirement. There's everybody in between, our young and our old alike, need and want our trail systems. We've touched upon our plans. We have our Greenways master plans, our comprehensive plans. Everything addresses the network of trails and that we have here. And this, for us to be able to put ourselves in a position of this national recognition, and it helps market us on what we actually do well and what we have in place. That's just a wonderful thing. And with that, I'll... Yes, sir.
Just a quick little aside comment. I talked to a friend in Colorado over the weekend. My name's Alan, I'm a citizen. I talked to a friend in Colorado over the weekend, and I told him about this, and he said, "You're kidding. With all the towns along the trail in Colorado, you'd be the first one." I said, "Well, that's Silver City."
Absolutely. Always a leader, always progressive, and that's what sets us apart. With that.
Can I add one comment?
Absolutely.
I also saw the 2 through hikers as I was driving down Little Walnut this afternoon. And one of the things that we would like to do beyond getting designated as the gateway city, gateway community, is to develop paths and connectors that make it a more pleasant experience than walking down Little Walnut to go from Silver City up to the CDT. So as we go forward, this organization is not going to just collapse after April 23rd. We're going to keep working on this and keep doing things to help cement that connection between Silver City and Continental Divide Trail and the rest of the trails in our forest. Thank you.
Entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Ray.
I move to approve a resolution number 2014-14, a resolution supporting the designation of the town of Silver City as a gateway community to the Continental Divide Trail System. And Mr. Alex Brown will be a very good guide. He likes to walk a lot, believe me.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to second that.
We have a motion and a second for approval of resolution number 2014-14, a resolution supporting the designation of the town of Silver City as a gateway community to the Continental Divide Trail System. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Kano. Aye. Councilor Ray.
Aye.
Councilor Amon Smith. Aye. Councilor Bez.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a presentation with opportunity for public input of the Waterworks project and the EPA Brownfields grant awarded October 2013 for cleanup of lead asbestos, bat guano, in the Waterworks building and an analysis of Brownfields cleanup alternatives. There will be an opportunity for public comment on the project in general as well as the cleanup alternatives. Ms. Gordon.
Mayor, councilors, my name is Nancy Gordon. I'm a volunteer with the town of Silver City and have been working on rehabilitation of the waterworks for about 4 years now. The town was recently awarded an EPA Brownfields cleanup grant for the waterworks, and we're required to present alternatives for doing that cleanup and invite public comment. So that's what this meeting is about tonight. The Silver City Waterworks provided the town's first municipal water supply. It was built in 1887 and actually supplied water up until about 12 years ago. It's a unique building in Silver City because of its sandstone construction. It's really the only building like it in town, and a lot of people call it the old rock house. It's also tied closely to the history of Silver City and the water uses in Silver City. It was built by a private water company back in 1887. The town has owned it since 1925. The building had two sections. The one-story section housed the pumping equipment and boilers to produce steam to run the pumps. This is back before electricity. To produce the steam, wood, there's a big pile of firewood over here that was burned to produce the steam, and later coal was used. The two-story section was a residence for the engineer and his family, and there was an office for the private water company. The Waterworks gets its water supply from a collection gallery which runs underneath Silver Creek Arroyo to collect subsurface flows and carries them to a well. We think there may have been a pump in the well itself that carried water up into a 30-foot deep pit, which is underneath the building. There were booster pumps in that pit that boosted the water up to reservoirs up on the hill, and then water would flow into town, into the water system. We have a little bit of an idea, we didn't know before, but where that tunnel was, but when they built the bridge across Silver Creek Arroyo and drilled holes for the piers, they actually punctured it in two places. And so we have an idea where the tunnel is. The waterworks was never a very reliable source of water for the town, and it only had 18 acre-feet of water rights compared to the almost 3,000 that we use today. When other well fields were developed, the waterworks was disconnected from the town's water system, but it did continue to supply non-potable water, like for construction, until December 2000 through this standpipe. But today, when you see water trucks filling up at the waterworks, they're actually filling up from a hydrant, so the water is chlorinated, which is good because a lot of people fill up with water for drinking when their wells go dry. The waterworks building continued to be used as a residence for city employees until about 1967. After that, it was used as a maintenance shop and for storage. Right now, it's a restoration project and a teaching tool, and it's a place for workshops like the Labyrinth workshop that was held during the Clay Festival last year. The current vision is to make it into a museum and nature center with a focus on water. It could possibly be a living museum with a caretaker living there like it had historically, but that's really up to the town to decide. One of the first things that Susan Berry did when she became museum director in 1984 was to get the waterworks listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It has some interesting features, especially in the pump room, like these Victorian-style railings that are in the building, and also this spiral staircase that goes down into that 30-foot deep pit. Unfortunately, the floor in that room is collapsing, and that's one of the things that we would like to address with this EPA grant, is to stabilize that floor. This two-story roof was re-roofed in 2004. The one-story roof was in terrible shape and was totally replaced last year. An anonymous donor paid more than half the cost, and the town kicked in the remainder. Because the building was on the National Register of Historic Places, the New Mexico Historic Preservation Division had to approve the plans, so that involved using rough sawn 2x12 lumber that was specially cut in Oregon and a corrugated tin roof. The town has been fortunate to have been awarded grants from Freeport-McMoran Foundation that have paid for several architectural and engineering studies, surveying, educational outreach to the community, masonry repair projects and other rehabilitation projects, and also for youth activities. So we really appreciate their support over the years. They contributed something like $56,000 now to this project. Some of the funding went from Freeport, paid for rebuilding the historic front porch, which was totally missing and had been there. The contractor did the main structure, and then volunteers did the brackets and the painting, the deck and the railings. Over the past 4 years, we've had 3 groups of youth volunteer corps kids from the Wellness Coalition and 3 YCC crews from Aldo Leopold High School that have done projects at the waterworks. They've done things like take out trees of heaven and elms, created native plant gardens in 2 different locations. They've made informational signs that are now all around the site. They painted panels to cover up the boarded up doors and windows to make them look more like the historic ones. And they've done some surveying and drainage projects. We have another YCC group coming this fall. I think Deb left, but she's our organizer. We've now had over 100 people help with the repointing of the old crumbling mortar, including several of the people that are here and Councilor Ray. Thank you for doing that. We were trained by Cornerstones, a nonprofit out of Santa Fe, and how to mix and use the lime mortar. A couple of our volunteers actually came to learn about this so that they could go repoint their historic brick houses. And we even got the YCC kids involved. We did hire a professional mason this last year to repoint a couple of the gables because they're a little bit high for our volunteers to get up to. And we're starting work just this week on this north gable that we can access from the new roof. And so we actually hope to finish the exterior this year. Back in 2000, the town was awarded an EPA Brownfields Assessment Grant that helped get some projects started, like the trail system on Boston Hill and in San Vicente Arroyo, the chapel on La Capilla Hill, and the cleanup and demolition of the old hospital. It also paid for environmental assessments at the waterworks, the Phase 1 and the Phase 2, which found lead-based paint in the building and also asbestos in the vinyl tile. The New Mexico Environment Department paid for removal of the asbestos-containing roof tar before the replacement of that one-story roof. Excuse me. And a few years ago, we found that there were some bats roosting upstairs in the building, so cleaning up bat guano is another thing that we need to address. Last October, the town was awarded a $200,000 brownfields cleanup grant from the Environmental Protection Agency for the waterworks. We applied for a hardship waiver, and EPA did grant it, which saved the town $40,000. And Silver City was the only town in New Mexico to get a brownfields grant last year. The budget for the grant covers the actual cleanup of lead, asbestos, and bat guano, oversight by a qualified environmental professional, stabilization of the pump room floor because that's needed to get into that room to clean up the hazardous materials, and other administrative costs. The program manager for this grant is Bud Mullaney, the town assistant engineer, and Denise Smith with the Office of Sustainability is our quality assurance manager, and I guess my role is volunteer instigator. So as part of our EPA grant requirements, we had to develop an analysis of brownfield cleanup alternatives, or ABCA, and present it at a public meeting and make it available for comment. It's been up on the town's website since March 3rd, and we've done a couple of press releases. Bud said he's been getting a few comments back. So these are the alternatives that we put in our ABCA. There's a lot more detail about them on the website in the actual document. And the costs are just for comparison. We won't actually know until we get quotes. The first three options basically don't use the grant. We're saying we're not going to do this. We're going to walk away from the project and not go any farther. The last three represent progress towards rehabilitation. The prices that, or the costs that I've summarized there don't include the $51,000, which is set aside or budgeted for the qualified environmental professional and various programmatic costs. So the total on that last one is actually $200,000, the amount of the grant. So just to go through them, we have to include no action, just for comparison. The second option is to clean up to what's called mothball status. So we're basically saying we don't want to deal with this right now, so let's leave the building boarded up with all the hazardous materials inside. We would still need to do some cleanup of the exterior fascia boards because they have lead-based paint on them, and probably more security. Maintenance would be required because just to keep the hazardous materials contained inside the building. We threw in demolition as an option, just as an alternative to put it in there for comparison. There have been councilors in the past that have wanted this building destroyed, but the public always protested it and stopped it from happening. Being on the National Register of Historic Places means that if any public funding is used, federal, state, or local, the New Mexico Historic Preservation Division has to approve the activity, and they would probably not approve demolition. So theoretically, the town could sell the building and a private party could demolish it at their own expense. But I think that would disappoint a lot of people. Renovation, there's a difference between renovation and abatement. Renovation is, I guess, encapsulation would be another way of saying that. We're covering up the materials and keeping them from escaping, but we're not totally getting rid of them. So this would involve scraping off the loose lead-based paint and painting over it and then covering up the vinyl tile. In this one room, this is the old kitchen. There's some we call it wainscoting, and so all of that has lead paint on it. The moldings around the windows have lead paint, and this is the vinyl tile that would need to be removed or covered up. Again, the town would have to do a O&M plan and do yearly maintenance to make sure the lead and asbestos stay contained. On options 4, 5, and 6, we would want to consult with the New Mexico Historic Preservation Division on whether we can actually replace some of the windows that are in bad shape rather than trying to strip them down and repair them, repaint them. In fact, the ones that are downstairs in the two-story section are not the original style. This is the original style. And so we would probably like to just take these out and replace them with in-kind windows. They would have to be single pane. That's one of their criteria. Oops, I'm not done yet. Abatement means total removal of the lead and asbestos. This is the most expensive option and might cost more than the amount of the grant. Abatement has to be done by a abatement and hazardous waste contractor. For the lead paint, it could mean steam cleaning the wood to remove every speck of the paint, which can cost as much as $3,000 per window. That's just to take the lead paint off. EPA would prefer abatement because they'd like to eliminate lead everywhere, but they cannot require it. As I understand it, the lead paint regulations are different for a child-occupied facility, but either renovation or abatement is acceptable. There are several local contractors who are certified lead paint renovators, but we'd probably have to go out of town to get an abatement contractor. So our preferred option is number 6, which is the most cost-effective, efficient combination of renovation, abatement, and replacement that meets cleanup standards and rehabilitation goals. So this is basically doing as much as we can for the amount of the grant. So at this point, your choice is really, do you want to go forward towards rehabilitation or stop? And we'll accept comments on this ABCA for about 2 more weeks until April 11th, and then we'll need to summarize them and send all the documentation to EPA. People can make comments by email. There's an address on the website. I've also left some slips at the back of the room that people can pick up with information. So I'd be glad to answer any questions. We've allowed for public input, so I'd like to turn it over to the mayor to request that, and I'd like to hear what the councilors think.
Thank you, Nancy. Any questions from the council? Would anybody like to, in the public, have any questions, comments?
My name's Denise Smith, and I can't remember who suggested this, but there's a possibility that this could be open like as a park or something for that Continental Divide Trail. So if folks are walking past it, this might be an opportunity to have a place for them to visit, maybe use the restroom, something like that. So I think the possibilities here for this building being used in our future are pretty positive. Thank you.
Sissy?
I'm Sissy McAndrew. I'm here tonight as a citizen, and I had the joy of learning how to work on the building a few years ago. And I want to recognize Nancy. I mean, she has just guided this project with so much love, and I really feel it is one of the jewels of our community. When we talk history and culture and we talk about infrastructure, this is really part of our pioneering past. And so I would really encourage the council to move forward. I think you've got community support. I'm hoping I can break away and come back out and work on the building, because it really is a sense of pride, and you feel like you own a piece of it when you get to put some time in on it. So I just want to thank you for that opportunity.
My name is Linda Pafford, and I'm a citizen of Grant County. And I would like to inquire, this seems like a magnificent project, and I certainly hope that you can go forward with it. But my question is about the tank And uphill from this, where the water used to go, that tank is on a location that has some interesting archaeological, I'm not sure what to call it, but it is a site with a lot of history. And the tank itself also appears to be something that would be usable in the future. Is that tank associated with this building at this time? Are there any thoughts about this group progressing towards that renovation or use up there? Is there any connection at this time?
You mean, is there still a pipeline up there? I think there is.
Yeah, the pipe still runs there.
I think that they called them the hospital tanks, and I think they were used up until the 1970s when those chloride, the ones with the members' designs were put in. I'm not sure about that. But at this point, no, I have my hands full with just the building. But the Waterworks property did originally encompass about 30 acres, which went all the way up on the hill and actually went over and included Virginia Street Park and the Botanic Gardens. So that was all part of the original Waterworks property. And I know Susan Berry would like to see that whole area kind of integrated as a heritage park, so that you've got the pre-Silver City up on the hill, the members archaeological site, and you've got the Waterworks, which is from the 1800s, and then you've got the Botanic Gardens and the Virginia Street Park.
But there's no
plans.
Is there a property connection?
Yeah, the town owns the property.
The town owns all of that property?
All of that.
Okay.
Sure. It's continuous. Yeah.
Okay.
Councilor Bedison?
Thank you. Nancy, this is really for public information tonight and for our information. So when you get the comments and you send them to the EPA, then what happens next? Is that where they decide, or do we decide which one of the options?
We decide, yes.
And I noticed in your presentation, the one thing that wasn't in there was the rehabilitation costs, because that would be a separate expense altogether. This is only for the use of the $200,000 of the EPA Brownfields grant.
Architects and engineers have estimated the total cost at $1 million. We're working on getting there for less using volunteer labor and trying to get grants where we can. I think on the porch, the architects estimated a cost of $20,000, and we got it done for $7,000. So we're trying to save money where we can. But yes, it is a major, commitment if the town decides to go forward with rehabilitation.
Well, I would just say that you've done a phenomenal job in carrying everybody up to do this, and it is a unique property. And it's wonderful that we have this grant to at least mitigate some of the issues that are there. And I think that the cost-effective cleanup, it looks like it moves us one step closer, but there's still quite some distance to go after that. But having experience with bats and the place where I work at the University Museum, that is something that does need to be taken care of, because it can.
We did put up some netting, and it seems to be keeping them out for now. We'll
There's
see.
a very short window when they'll be gone.
They aren't gone.
No, they usually will, they'll go for, we were lucky, we caught it just at the right time. They were gone for literally a week. And that's when everything was sealed up, because you have to take that into consideration too. You can't just say, here's your little suitcase, you have to leave. So you have to, because some of them are protected. So, and we encourage them after plugging everything up, to move to the caves over on Boston Hill. So the suitcase was packed up at the right time, because they literally were gone when we were doing that work. So that would be something to look forward to. But thank you for all the work that you've done on this, and I really appreciate everyone who worked in the town to get this brownfield cleanup grant together, and to save us the 20% match that we would have had to do, right? Thanks. Great job.
I'd like to reiterate, getting that grant is a huge undertaking and very important for this project. I know it just gets us a step closer, but it allows us the opportunity to move forward if we ever choose to or ever have the ability to do so. So this is a great step in the right direction. Any other questions? Councilor Amon Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Gordon, these comments are going to be kind of pulled together and sent off to the EPA. Are you going to do a summary of them, or are they going to be sent off raw? Can you give us an idea of kind of what commentary the EPA would find interesting, compelling, and how you're going to handle it? I'm not asking a big question, I'm just really curious.
No, that's okay. We had to actually do a draft ABCA analysis for the proposal, and got comments during that period. So we summarized them, and we actually left people's names off. So it was not, anyway, to keep their names private. And we pretty much summarized them as they were written.
Mr. Brown?
Mayor, Council, I just want to acknowledge Nancy and the volunteers have done an excellent job. They've done a ton of work, and it's really hard a lot of times having to work as a volunteer through the government process, and it's been a struggle once in a while, but she's done an excellent job. But I think we also need to thank Senator Udall and his office for all the help that Melanie Goodman from Senator Udall's office, who's been right there every time Nancy needs some help with the agencies of the federal government, and without their help and assistance along with Nancy, this is a daunting task. So, I just want to thank them as well.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission, it's a 5-member commission that's extremely important to our town. They make a number of decisions and really play a role almost as important as the government itself, the paid positions. Currently, we are down to 3 members, which is simply a quorum, and we clearly need to get more people involved and moving forward on this commission. Right now, if somebody gets sick or is incapacitated for whatever reasons or out of town, we can't conduct business. Right now, I have one applicant. This being my first appointment, I've vetted staff, I've vetted the chair, and got reassurances that everybody is good with this appointment. So, is there any objection to me appointing Nicholas Seibel to the Planning and Zoning?
No, sir.
Nicholas Seibel is appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'll entertain the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I second that.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.